the Lee County School Board of Order this time, and that's Superintendent. He would offer our invocation and pledge.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the many blessings of life. We're thankful for this organization that strives to do what's best for our communities and our students and the leaders of our area and the parents. We pray for the benefit of our teachers and our administrators that they may run the schools in such a way that is beneficial to the kids. Our Father, we would ask you tonight to help us with wisdom that we might say the right things, we might honor thee, but give us the wisdom to conduct ourselves so that all will be well in thy sight. Be with us throughout this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Superintendent. Mr. Tanner, are there any additional corrections on the agenda or the addition to? At this time, I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda, including the addition to.
So moved.
Second, have a motion, have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion doesn't carry. And part of our agenda now, where we welcome any visitors and invite you to come and share anything that you feel necessary with the board. If there's anyone, please come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening. As a reminder, please, 3 minutes will be the time allotted this evening.
Down from 30 to 15, now we're at 3.
Yes, sir.
This is a visual. It's, say it's 1,000 words, so that would save me quite a bit of time. If you would, just hand up for everybody. I've titled this little presentation, "You Can Win Games and Still Have a Losing Season." If you look at the NCAA, the Division I football teams, they track all kinds of statistics. They have team stats and they have individual stats. Florida has a lot of things, a lot of achievements that they had. Some of their team accolades, they ranked 3rd in the SEC in the red zone. They were number 1 in the SEC for fumbles recovered. So Florida has a lot of achievements to be proud of in 2014. Same way with the NCAA, education also has a lot of statistics. All 67 Florida school districts in 2015, they'll measure 26 school stats for elementary, middle, and high school. And there are many successes that we've had in Levy County. We were number 2 in the number of students who passed the FCAT retake. We've had success on end-of-course exams, etc., etc. We have a lot of accolades. But in this bottom paragraph, it says, along with the highlights and other accolades, Levy County has much to be proud of. But for the last 11 years, Levy County has ranked in the bottom 50% of Florida school districts. In 2014, Levy County ranked in the lowest 25% of the 67 Florida school districts. In 2014, the School Board of Levy County was ranked at the 22nd percentile. At the 22nd percentile, 52 of the 67 school districts outperformed Levy County. 14 school districts score lower than we do. If we keep doing the same things the same way, we'll continue to get the same results. This chart points out where we are in the downward trend that we're currently on. I'd like to present a potential solution. I propose that the problem is that there is a culture of intimidation and a fear of retaliation. I think you need to seriously consider this as a problem. At HardestInc.com on December 9, 2014, in regards to there being a culture of intimidation, Mr. Turner said, "Show me the proof." And another board member commented that he doesn't see what I see. I don't think we have to look too far to find that culture. For example, I like to present some of that proof. Mr. Chairman, when you admonished me as if I were a 6-year-old and said, pay close attention to this, sir, you will follow the chain of command for future concerns and issues. While all along I was following the chain of command, that, sir, is an attempt at intimidation. When I asked you, Mr. Chairman, what was the salary that board members made, you curtly responded, public record, as if I should go and look it up myself. Your defensive posture comes across as an unwillingness to engage with the public, as if we should know our place, and that our places do not ask questions. Mr. Hastings, when you say that I or any other employee has gone off the deep end,
No, I have never said that about any other employee, sir. I said that about you.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
When you say that I, as an employee, have gone off the deep end, it reveals a dismissive attitude toward employees,
That's your opinion.
and that you do not feel that our concerns have value.
No, that's your opinion, nobody else's.
When an individual comes before this board and raises concerns about how well we're preparing our students for their future, and you refer to these concerns as accusations,
Who did
you
that?
set up.
Who did that?
If you look at your board minutes, when you put an attachment to response to,
No, I accuse
Gee,
you
Lawrence.
of accusations, but I
It's
don't
accusations.
accuse you of accusations in efforts to do what's best for kids. But you are accusing these board members and me of not doing our job, and I don't appreciate it.
all I'm doing is talking about the data.
No,
It's just the
no, that's
data.
not all you're doing. That's not all you're doing. You hadn't even mentioned data yet.
Yes, sir.
Well, you mentioned football data.
No, sir, I mentioned that we were at the 22nd percentile.
Well, you're wrong about that too. You know why you're wrong? Let me explain to you why you're wrong. Because there are 67 counties and districts in Florida, but when they rank them, they rank 74. You know who else they rank? Who do they rank?
The Forest School of Deaf and Blind.
And the University of Florida, Magnet School, University of Florida State, Florida State University, FAU, places like that, 74. So if you're 52 out of 74, then that puts you at a whopping 27%. Not that that's wonderful, but your figures are wrong.
They're still very low. They're still a long ways.
One year. What was it the year before that? What was it the year before?
It's right here. You've got that chart right in front of you, sir.
What was it the year before?
It's right here. Oh, there it is. Last
What
10
was
years.
it? What was it? Go ahead and say it. What was it?
Not good.
Not good.
How about below 50%?
It was not below 50%.
I'm looking at it. I've looked at the research, I looked at the data on the Florida website.
We extended your time, Mr. Lawrence, so you got 2 minutes now. That will give you a total of 7.
I came here to talk about data, not to get defensive. I came here as a Christian concerned about where we are. I appreciated your prayer. It's unusual or strange that when a person comes up here and they want to talk about data, and as an employee wants to come up with solutions to problems, that there is a defensive posture. I would like to talk about the data. I would like to talk about solutions. I would like to recommend as a solution a superintendent and board members report card to be completed by all school board employees, that would be filled out by all school board employees yearly to evaluate the performance of the school board members and the superintendent. This annual feedback would give our elected school officials long overdue critical feedback you need to adjust what you're doing in order to best meet the needs of our students. Our children are too important to wait on a 4-year election cycle to make adjustments to how we do business. I'm wrapping it up, sir. Also, our Lord and Savior does not operate on a 4-year election cycle. He asks that we follow him daily. He asks our best from us. He does not ask that we take a defensive posture. He asks us to respect one another, to work together, and come up with solutions to the problems that we face daily.
That's your time, Mr. Lawrence. We appreciate your comments.
Mr. Lawrence, I do feel that this board does everything that they can, and I know that we as a board are going up to lobby to bring up issues to Tallahassee tomorrow. We want to be involved. We do go visit schools. We do everything that we can, and we want it positive, and we want to work together with everybody. So, I mean, I can genuinely say that we do try, and we're doing everything possible that we can, and we want the students' best interest. That's all we want. We
Great.
absolutely do
I
want
think you do, and
that.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you.
That's right, because, I mean, you're in the school
I'm here
system.
to join in this debate.
Right, and you are a part of that, the scores are low, then you're a part of that, then we all have to work together, and it works better if we get along and try to work together. That's the
Come here
goal.
to present data and to a discussion and to present solutions. If we're here to argue.
For the record,
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr.
Morrison,
Lawrence.
I'm not doing this as a debate. Okay, that you got that clear. All right, thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to present some counter data to Mr. Lawrence's data. And he did recognize that we do many wonderful things in Levy County. He recognized that we have many accomplishments that we should think about and dwell on. Not pick out 1 year out of one domain and think that's the focus of Levy County. It's not. Have we accomplished all the goals that we want to accomplish? No. Are we where we want to be academically? No. We want to move forward. We want to do better than what we're doing. If we didn't, then certainly we wouldn't be doing the right thing. But we do want to improve. But we have done so many things, so many wonderful things, and for somebody like Mr. Lawrence to dwell on one negative aspect of it is just totally out of line. Unreal. For example, and all of you have a packet, and for you, Ms. Jones, there's a packet over there on that table also. And I would appreciate, Ms. Jones, if you would give me equal space in the newspaper that you give Mr. Lawrence to put out our accolades. Last time I presented a letter for you to write, to put in the paper, I wrote, I got a little blurb like that, and you put his whole article in there. Now, and I'll send that to you again. Be happy to. And you can pick up one of those packets too. But I expect as much print for the positive aspects of Levy County school system as you give Mr. Lawrence for the negative aspect. First thing I'd like for you to look at in the package that I gave to you, that the first page would look something like this. This is the Biology 1 in-course assessment for the Next Generation Sunshine State Standard. And it shows where Levy County is. And then if you turn to the second page, you can see where the state average is. Levy County is way above state average in the Biology 1. In the Algebra 1, on the next sheet, which looks like this with one yellow line at the bottom. In the Algebra 1, we are right at state average. We're not below it, we're not above it, but we're at state average. For the history, U.S. history in the course exam, we are again way above state average. That would be a single sheet that looks like this. And in that, we are way above state average. In geometry in the course assessment, again, we are above state average on the second page of that. And so as you can see, we excel in so many different areas, not just one entity. But using the chart with all the squiggly lines that Mr. Lawrence has portrayed over and over and over again since October. That would be the blue section that looks like this. Okay? This is the same chart that he has. And as you can see, in 2006 and 7, they did drop down to the 26, 27 percentile, ranking of 54 out of 74 entities. But then the next year, they were up to 40 and 43, 37 above state averages. And as you can see, in 8, 9, which was my first year in office, we had 7 A's, 2 B's, and 1 F. In 9, 10, we had 7 A's, 2 B's, and 1 C. I'd like to also point out to you that the reason for these numbers is that the 2 charter schools also count for the district rate. So as you turn over to 10, 11, again, we've 3 A's, 7 B's, 2 C's, 11 and 12, 4 A's, 2 B's, 6 C's, 40, 3 A's, 3 B's, 4 C's, and 2 D's. And one of those was a charter school. I'm not trying to throw off on charter schools. They do a great job. I'm just saying we don't control their curriculum. We don't control any aspect of those schools. So normally I don't consider them in our school grades, but the state does. So they are in there. And again, we dipped down, had a bad year in 13, 14. 13, 14, of course, we were using the blended model of testing. All of this reason why scores go up and down is because we are always shooting at a moving target. I'm very proud of Levy County and our educational system. I'm proud of our teachers, I'm proud of our administrators, I'm proud of the people that are in this room that work diligently to help with the educational system. I couldn't ask for people to work any harder than our people do. And our board members are in our schools all the time, working, doing extra things. They don't need to be slammed in the newspaper about not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Our board members are on top of things. We've got a great board. Where there could be 3 sections in the newspaper about slamming the board members, just, it will make you defensive. It will make one angry to know that they've been so falsely accused. Again, I'm proud of you guys, and our teachers, and our administrators, and our team. And I take offense to somebody that would take one little aspect of our educational system. And even this is just, we're talking academics. We're not talking about all the other wonderful things we do in Levy County, Mr. Lawrence. We're talking about our FFA achievements, our elementary achievements, and all the things they do, the wonderful things that happens in our schools, clubs, organizations, sports, band, plays, a multitude of wonderful things. And yet, you want to dwell on one aspect.
It's not just one aspect,
Yes,
sir.
it is. Yes, it is. That's all there is to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings.
Okay, item D, public hearing, the amended capital outlay adjustments. Mr. Clemens?
I may have this already in your board packet, if you want, or board copy.
Thank you. Yes, we do.
Already have?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, now you got 2. Okay, what this is about is every year we have to advertise 3 advertisements in the newspaper. We have to advertise the budget, we have to advertise the capital outlay, our expected expenditures for the capital outlay, what they call LCIF, local capital improvement funds, 1.5. And then we have to either advertise a notice of budget hearing or a budget increase. So the way that works is you can only spend, in the capital funds, you can only spend money on the projects that you advertise. So this is, what I wanted to do was re-advertise 2 of the years, 2011, 12, and 2009, 10. We have funds left in those funds. In governmental accounting, you keep cycles or cyclones of different funds. And those funds still have money. So in anticipation of using those funds, we now have a Wilson Middle High School we're trying to get built in Wilson. And I anticipate we could use some of those leftover funds for that. In addition, we have property and casualty insurance that we have to pay each year of about $300,000. And this year, as you know, the LCIF funds are all pledged to go back to Tallahassee for the next 3 years, this year and the next 2. So the reserves that we have is what we're going to live on for the next 3 years. So that's what part of this plan is to cover the things that we need to cover for those balances of those capital outlays. The 3rd page or 4th page in is kind of a little description of some of the reserve balances that are left over. And again, the property casualty portion is about $300,000, so it would take a portion of 2 years in order to cover that.
Mr. Clemens, this is also when we advertise school bus purchases. That's also.
It is, but this is not what this is.
Right.
According to statute, the last page shows you, all you have to advertise when you do a re-advertising is the additional projects that you're anticipating spending money on. These projects were not part of the original advertisement, and therefore we needed to have a public hearing. And this is a public hearing. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to entertain those questions from anyone in the audience. But this is something we need to have approved by the board, and then I'll need to send it to the Department of Revenue and get their blessings on it as well.
You're looking for a motion to approve the amended notice?
Yes, sir. It was in the paper last Thursday, and we were to have this hearing within 5 days of the notice.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to amend the notice of tax for school capital outlay funds. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Clemens. Mr. O'Gavin, would you walk very slowly up there, please, ma'am?
Sure, we need a minute for technology.
Okay, that will help.
Yes. But you didn't publish, you didn't publish my last article that I sent to you. Thank you for bringing that.
Thank you. Oh, is that lady?
That's what I saw, yeah.
She'll be back.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some updates and important information about our state assessments. And this is purely informational. This is where we're at right now with what's going on with state assessments. And I'm sure you've heard things in the news, and if you have questions about that, we can address that. Also, you do have a copy of the PowerPoint in your packet, and you should have a copy of the district state assessment schedules, which is a packet, and yeah, it's hands filling it up. All right, so so we're going to start out and look at what's new for 2014, 2015. Obviously, we are giving new assessments this year. They're referred to as the Florida Standards Assessments, also known as FSA. The American Institutes for Research, also known as AIR, is the actual testing platform that we're using for these new assessments. We are giving more and more computer-based assessments, known as CBTs. Students in grades 5 through 12 this year are now taking computer-based assessments. So with the increase in the number of computer-based assessments, obviously there's an increased need for updates to our technology. It requires a lot of creative scheduling on the part of our school testing coordinators due to the amount of computer labs that we have, the amount of computers that are able to be used for testing. And, you know, it's required our MIS department to work overtime in some cases getting our labs prepared for all of this new assessment. We have more students this year that are being assessed in writing. We have students in grades 4 through 10 who are required to take what's called the ELA FSA writing component. The state also has required stricter rules for and new process for the request of paper-based or accommodated tests for those students who are working from an IEP or a 504 plan. That new process is pretty time-consuming. What happens is the schools have to complete form and provide all of the individual student information for us. That has to be uploaded onto a state template by each individual student, listing all of the paper-based tests that we're requiring or requesting for each student. Then it goes to the state. The state gives final approval as to whether those students will get paper-based accommodations. So that is new this year as well. Continuing with what's new for this year, all students have access to more tools for computer-based testing. In the past, many of these were considered special accommodations, like the ability to highlight, change the font size, change the background color, and there are a lot of other tools that are available to all of our students now. So those are no longer considered special accommodations. Our middle and high schools are testing on 2 different testing platforms, and actually there are 3 testing platforms for the high school. Middle and high schools are administering assessments on Pearson, which we've been using in the past, and they're also testing on the AIR or FSA platform. And high schools also use a special platform for PERT testing, which is our college readiness test, and they use the McCann platform. Yes?
Now back up, just one on, more students are being assessed in writing,
Correct.
cursive, or that?
On an actual writing assessment where they have to read passages, they are given a topic or question, they have to write an essay to that prompt or question, and they have to provide documentation to support their writing. So that's how it has changed, and that's from 4th grade through 10th grade.
4th grade was still, 4th and 5th was still paper or on the writing?
Yes, we'll get to the formats in just a minute. Yes, 3rd and 4th grade is still paper-based. And actually for writing, it's 4th through 7th grade, take writing paper-based. But it's in your PowerPoint. Okay, so we're talking about the different platforms that are being used at the schools. Our assessments administered on Pearson use a new updated software called TestNav 8.2, and that in itself creates an issue because what's going on with Pearson is usually a month or 2 before testing occurs, they give us an updated software platform. And it usually doesn't work with what we've already installed. As a matter of fact, it didn't work. We had an infrastructure trial in all of our schools and it was a bust. None of the computers would connect to the practice test. So Ron Perez's group, our MIS department and our tech team have worked overtime to install the correction that was needed so the TestNav 8.2 platform will work. And actually this week we're conducting practice infrastructure trials in all of our schools just to make sure that the fix was the fix that we needed to make it work. So we have Pearson software updates, create the need for additional updates to schools, which I was just describing to you, and it also, in some instances, creates the need for district infrastructure improvements. All right, so what FSA assessments do our students take? In English Language Arts, also known as ELA, that is grades 3 through 10. In English Language Arts Writing, also known as an ELA component, grades 4 through 10. And actually this year, the English Language Arts test, which is the reading component, and the writing components, those scores are being combined to give the students one score. And we have been informed by the state that if the students do not take the writing component, but they take the reading, they will not get a score. Same thing, if they take the writing and not the reading, they will not get a score. So you have to have both components of the test completed to get a score. The state is implementing an additional test window for writing in the event that some students may miss it or we have new students coming in to try to handle that scenario. So for our FSA math, we have students in grades 3 through 8 who will take that assessment. We have FSA Algebra 1 in the course, which is new, the FSA Algebra 2 in the course, which is new, and the FSA Geometry in the course exam, which is new. So those are all the new Florida Standards assessments. All right, talking about formats, meaning are they paper-based or are they computer-based assessments? In grades 3 through 4, all of their assessments are paper-based still. In grades 4 through 7, for the writing, those are paper-based assessments. In grades 5 through 10, those are computer-based for the English Language Arts. In grades 5 through 8, those are computer-based for math. And all of our end-of-course exams are computer-based. Our FSA assessments are given in 2 sessions over 2 days, every single exam. And those sessions average from 70 to 80 minutes per session, so the test times are a little longer also for the new assessments. And FSA middle school math assessments are actually 3 different test sessions that they have to complete in 2 days. Each session is 60 minutes, so our middle school students are actually taking a 180-minute math test this year. So they've increased the time on most of these as well. And if you think about it, having to schedule 2 sessions over 2 days, you're not allowed to give those 2 sessions in 1 day. That's where the creative scheduling comes in for our schools.
And if we got we're given more time to do them, but has the length of the test increased as well? I mean, are there like more questions, or they just give them more time to do?
Well, I would say the length of the test has increased also. I don't know, because we're not supposed to look at what's actually in the test, so I can't answer that. That's a state, that's a security.
But the format out there to do it and all has increased.
Correct.
That has increased.
Right. All right, our other platform that I mentioned, Pearson, these are our next generation Sunshine State Standard assessments, and that's on the TestNav 8.2. We're still giving the reading retake for those students that are in the cohort that have to have that for graduation purposes. This is the absolute last year. The state said we will give any mathematics retake for FCAT. We still had some students that needed that for graduation because of the cohort they were in, so they brought that test back. It was actually gone for a couple of years, and they brought it back to meet the needs of that little group of students. We're still giving the FCAT 2.0 science in grades 5 and 8. That's paper-based. And we're still giving an Algebra 1 retake from Next Generation. We're giving the Biology 1 end-of-course exam. We're still giving the Civics end-of-course exam. The Geometry retake was only given this fall, 2014, so any student who was actually required to take the Next Generation Sunshine State Standard Geometry EOC, if they didn't make their 30% or they have to retake it for whatever purpose, they have to take the new one that's created by Florida Standards Assessments. So it's going to be a more difficult exam for them. And then the U.S. History end of course. So those are still what we call the Pearson assessments. All right, if you want to look at the formats for the Pearson TestNav 8.2 test, all retakes are computer-based, all of our end-of-course exams are computer-based, and As I said, the FCAT 2.0 science in grades 5 and 8 are still paper-based. You have a packet, as I mentioned earlier, that shows what our district assessment schedule looks like. You have a grade cluster packet for 3 through 5, a grade cluster packet for 6 through 8, and a packet for 9 through 12. If you flip through it, you can see that there's a lot of testing going on. It's spread out over quite an extensive period of time, and the rationale behind that is we have to accommodate, when we create these schedules, we have to accommodate our combination schools. Because if you think about it, you've got schools that are testing all those grade levels, and we have limited labs in some scenarios or situations, so we had to spread them out to accommodate those special format schools. On top of FSA and Pearson, or next generation assessments, we also still give other state assessments. We give the Florida Kindergarten Readiness Screening, which is Flickers. We give the Florida Assessments for Instruction in Reading, known as FAIR, K through 12. We give Ready Step, which is a preliminary PSAT assessment for grade 7. We give a preliminary SAT, PSAT grades 9 and 10. In some years, we're very lucky, and this is being sarcastic, that our district is selected to do the NAEP, which is a National Assessment of Educational Progress. Last year, we had several schools that participated in that. This year, we were lucky we didn't have to administer NAEP. We give alternate assessment for students with significant disabilities, also known as the Florida Alternate Assessment, or the FAW. And we give advanced placement exams. We're still not finished. We have some more. We give the post-secondary education readiness test, which is a college readiness test for high school. It's known as the PERT. And we give a comprehensive English language learning assessment known as CELA, that is for our ESOL students. I put a special note up here regarding the CELA because as of June 2014, our state adopted a new set of standards for our ESOL students. And they're known as the WIDA standards, W-I-D-A. And that translates into world-class instructional design and assessment standards. Even though the state has adopted those, they have not yet rolled them out for teachers. They're working on trainings, and they're working on getting those incorporated into our course code directory and CPALs. All right? So as of this year, this is the last year we're going to administer that assessment. There will be a new one next year called ELPA, English Language Proficiency Assessment. I'm trying to teach all the little acronyms that we use too as we go here, because there are quite a few. The FSA portal, this is where you can go to find resources and a lot of information about our new assessments. There's information on there for parents, students, school assessment coordinators, administrators, and just the public in general. So if you visit that website, you can find a lot of information. And last but not least, I thought you might want to hear a little bit about the issues that we're having with the new state testing. First of all, it's a change from how we used to test, because we used to have a school-based server where we would proctor cache, which means that before testing, we would download the secure test information into that school-based server. So the students would be logging into that server instead of going out across the internet to get their test. Well, that doesn't happen with FSA. Now we use a secure browser, and they actually go into a web link to connect to the new assessment. So they're going out away from the school-based server to connect to these new assessments. And we thought that would create a problem. Well, we don't know for sure, but there have been statewide problems. I'm sure you've heard it mentioned in the news with the new test. Some of the things that we experienced, and I'll just say up front, we were very lucky as a district that we had very minimal issues during this first testing. We had a couple of what's on the screen up here. We had a lag in login time. Sometimes the students would log in and it would take 45 minutes to an hour for their test to come up. The test administrators, the teachers administering the test, same thing happened to them. Some of them it took an extensive amount of time for them to log in to be able to even start the test for the students. The next slide also mentions some things that we dealt with. The inability to log in, period. There were some people that had to call the FSA help desk. It was not much of a help desk, just being honest about it. The amount of calls they were receiving across the state overwhelmed them, and the help desk actually got to the point where they put on an answering machine and said, hey, we can't take your call right now, please call, leave us a message and call back, we'll address your issue. Well, some of the schools were still sitting there 2 days later waiting for a call back to address a student testing issue. You've got kids sitting in front of computers, they can't get in to test, and we're not getting the support we need to help figure out what's going on. Students sometimes have to log out and log back in. Their tests will shut off. They'll be kicked out of the test session. The computer software freezes during testing. And in some situations, some of these students, when they logged back in, they found out that their work was gone. So they were in the middle of writing their essay, and they came back in, and it was gone. Well, we had 4 students, 1 at a middle school and 3 at a high school that happened to. And just yesterday, mind you, we started testing a week ago, the help desk phoned me and said, hey, we found your students' essays. Now they can log back in and finish their test. Like 5 days after we started it. So what does that do for their train of thought and their frustration level? You know, not a good scenario, in other words. Well, that just speaks to the inability to get the help we need from the help desk. Wrong information, I got this when I called about the situation. They gave me wrong information and told me to tell my school testing coordinator to actually invalidate all those tests in a whole computer lab and retest the kids. Well, you can't retest if you invalidate. So I thought, this does not sound right. So I sent an email to my contacts at the DOE, and they sent back immediately, do not invalidate. So that was part of the scenario. And then the most common issue, if we want to boil it all down, was just the amount of time for logging in, logging out, logging back in, and actually accessing the tests. So you'll notice I put solutions, question mark. The state is working on it. And hopefully they will resolve those issues before testing really kicks in, which is the week after spring break when everybody's going to be testing.
Well, they'll have it in 2 weeks.
I hope so.
We're ready in 2 weeks.
Does anyone have any questions for me?
That's an awful lot of testing.
Yes, it is.
I'm always fascinated with this. Educated people call it assessment, but the rest of us call it tests. And when do you have time to teach? When does a qualified teacher have time to teach with all these lesson tests? It's ridiculous. And I harp on the fact that I have 2 boys that make great grades. I have 1 poor joker that struggles every day. But 2 that make great grades, and to see them so nervous. 1, his hobby is to write. He was so worried about this writing assessment, or quote me on this, normal people call it test because we're not trying to sell something. It's the fact, it's a test. He was so nervous about the test that he couldn't sleep before taking it, that he was scared to death. And this is a kid that writes great stories that can do that. And to put that kind of pressure on a 12-year-old or even younger is ridiculous. I hope stayed at fault. And then come up here and have a halfway system that doesn't work. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right, it's very frustrating. We have a link, I guess you would call it, where all of the district, state assessment coordinators or testing coordinators for the different districts, we have an email link. And my email was blown up over the last week and a half with everybody sharing what issues they were having and what are they doing about it, you know. And that's interesting in itself. I always refer to it as we're building the plane as we fly it with this new custom. So.
I often wonder, I'm sorry, Dr. Nick, go ahead. I often wonder if the powers that be that make these decisions, how would they feel about it if every 3rd day they had to be assessed with a system that doesn't work? I just wonder how that goes. Why don't you ask your buddy Charlie about that when you see him? How would you like to be assessed every 3rd day with something that may or may not work? That's my thought.
Dr. Winnett?
Mr. Turner, I just want to make a comment to the board that whenever you have a testing program of this magnitude, you do have to have one person at point. And I just want to say that Valerie Bogan has done an excellent job coordinating all this with all of our testing coordinators at the school level. A lot of those testing coordinators are administrators. Some of them are guidance counselors. Some of them are reading coaches. But the amount of work that it takes to pull this off, as you can see, keep up with these trials, keep up with the platforms, and Barb's team has done a wonderful job as well. The reason NAP failed was not because of anything we did on our end, it was just the way the program was written, the patch was not adequate. But I mention all that because if you go to Valerie's office, you'll see piles, not because she's disorganized, she's probably one of the more organized people on our team. It's just the volume that comes into her office, the boxes of assessments that are graded and tested and has to be shipped out to parents. All that goes through her office, and she also does ESOL on top of that position. So it is a full-time job that she has done. We just want to thank her for all the work she does with that.
Speaking from first-hand experience, and really appreciate those comments back to Valerie and the work it's not and it has grown since the days that when I was and speaking of tests / assessments, whichever, board members, don't throw this away. To ensure that you're doing what you should be doing, we're going to have an acronym test at the next.
Well, also,
I'll probably need a retake.
also, I mean, we did write a letter to Ms. Tracy, help me out on this one, and the letter from Pam Stewart that we got, the resolution, right, we did, and to cut back on the testing. And we are listening to the public, we are listening to teachers. We don't want the kids tested all the time, we want teaching time. So which ones are being cut back then?
The one test that was cut was the 11th grade reading and writing. That was it. For right now.
That was this year.
That was this year.
And maybe they'll see the error of their ways and the wisdom with finding other ways to meet these things. But now, were there not also some requirements being put forward to limit, take away the amount of school site district-based progress monitoring?
I think that's in the discussion.
That's in the
About
new
Yeah.
bill.
Okay, so there is some relief, hopefully, that's been on the way.
Well, and we'll certainly voice our opinions too.
Any other questions, comments for, okay, Mr. Evans?
And that's the, I mean, you talked about a state test, but the big elephant is on the district assessments at the end of the year. And I can't tell you how many thousands of hours the instructional team has put into this work. I mean, it's amazing what they've done here in Lee County. And that's it. I mean, the district assessment is much bigger than what this is.
How many tests have we created or will create at the county office?
80.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around 80 assessments that have to be created at the district office. And the reason we have to create those is because legislation passed that said every teacher of a content area subject has to have an assessment at the end of the year as part of their evaluation. Now, next year what kicks in is performance pay. So with performance pay, the only mechanism to pay someone if they are not on the grandfather schedule is that 50% of their evaluation being based on this assessment that has to be developed by this team. And we've had people at the table with CFAX, Central Florida Assessment Collaborative, that Kathy's been going to over time. We've been involved with NEFEC and collaborating with them on assessments. I think we're going to do a presentation on this next time, so I'll stop there.
Okay.
But it is such a big job.
And also would like to point out, excuse me, interrupting you there, Dr. Renee, I didn't mean to, but the fact that we're a small district does not negate the fact that we still have that same amount of testing or that we have to do. And we have, as I see it right now, in the testing area, a group of one.
She's as far as the
And y'all do the rest of it along with the instructional. But can you imagine the size of our instructional team / testing person compared to, they can go lots of ways. Or an Orange, you know, or Pinellas, or some of those with all that.
Well, in fairness to them, while we're doing 80, they're doing 220, you know.
But you still have the same number of, you know, that have to be done, but yes, can appreciate that. Mr.
Can I make one more comment? Sometimes we skim through these assessments and the impact on students. The PERT assessment, which qualifies our students. I know Mr. Asen ran through some data. This district is up 54% in dual enrollment. As a result of preparing our students for the PERT, the SAT or the ACT to qualify them for dual enrollment. 60 students walk across the street at Chiefland High School. 60 out of how many in 11th and 12th grade? There aren't that many 11th and 12th graders at Chiefland High School. 60 qualified through the PERT. Again, Valerie's office has to order, the testing coordinator has to administer, the guidance counselor has to assess GPA 3.0 or higher and look at the PERT, and then we see who qualifies. 54% increase in dual enrollment over the last 4 years in Levy County. All comes together through this assessment window.
And how many have taken and passed AP exams?
We have increased every year our percentage of pass rate with advanced placement. Again, that shows on the screen that we're giving these assessments, we're giving PSAT, we're giving SAT, and then we have advanced placement. We made AP Honor Roll in 2012. That's for increasing participation while at the same time increasing performance. 50 exams to over 300 exams in a matter of 5 years. So again, to this board, the fact that you have funded that project and have supported our AP teachers, sometimes our class sizes are small, but they're growing. We're now up to earning $80,000 because of pass rate with weighted funding for our AP exams. Industry certification, by the way, is in the top 10 in the state as well. And last year we earned $100,000 or more in weighted funding because of our industry certification pass rate. We're doing something right in our schools, getting our students ready, and when they get into these programs, they're very successful. So thank you for your support.
Any other quick comments?
The only thing that I quickly say, and I say this over and over again, I've said this to the superintendent, we're testing kids in March on end-of-year material. And that's what we're expecting our teachers to have our students ready. And it's so unfair to expect our teachers and our students to have them ready for end-of-school material, end-of-year material in March when we're 2/3 of the way. So, and that's just asinine.
Sounds like a good topic for either tomorrow or Thursday.
It will be a very good topic. So,
thank you, Ms. Howard, and other board members for your comments regarding that. Do not forget your test at the next meeting. Ms. Madison, item F.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you have on your desk, we've talked about the establishment of 2 supplements. And you see the language attached to those supplements. One is a public relations supplement, and the other is a postal supplement. And it's the board's establishes supplements, and then the actual value of the supplement has to be negotiated.
move we accept.
Second.
We're accepting the establishment of the 2.
The public relations and wholesale supplements.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion, questions, Mr. Edison, regarding this motion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Excuse me, all opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Edison. That's the shortest time you've been at the podium. Ms. Pam, do we have any changes to the minutes of the February 24th meeting?
Not to the minutes.
So the next, okay, so the chair is looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes of the February 24th meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Consent agenda, back to you, Ms. Pam.
Yes, sir, I do have one correction on the first page of the consent agenda. Under D, student trip request, there is a male chaperone that will be going with the state FBLA convention trip for, and he will chaperone all the male students for Chiefland Middle and Williston High. and his name is Keith McLean, and he's the FBLA director or advisor from Vanguard. He's gonna help him out. And that's the only addition.
And that's inclusive of the addition to, no changes. Okay. All right, Chair seeking a motion regarding the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion for approval. You have a second.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Asbell, comments, questions?
I think everything kind of makes sense to me, so I think I'm okay.
Okay. Kyle?
I'm good. I got one question, I'm sorry. Mr. Ron,
Yes, sir.
I see this has got your name on here, this master agreement, so you ironed out all the details and you feel up and good, 2 thumbs up?
Yes, sir.
Ron, you may want to briefly, in 3 minutes or less,
Okay.
explain what that's about. I would if I could, but.
Okay. Basically, this is the new agreement that we're going with AT&T. DFAC has partnered with 2 other consortiums in Florida, PACE and Heartland, to get a better contract for internet service in rural districts. So they put out what you call a Form 470, asking for services for the numerous districts across the state. And they got responses from AT&T, Comcast, and some other providers. We are fortunate enough that we are, as you know, we are in 2 different levels. One's the CenturyLink and one's AT&T. And so the biggest thing, the advantage of this particular contract is that we will be able to get away from CenturyLink. Each school from the Williston schools will have their individual, independent internet connection back to the district office. So we would be going away from the current standard we have now, where if Williston High School goes down, then you take up the whole Williston schools. The better part of this contract too, it is a 5-year contract, but the prices for the per month internet connection on a wide area network, we're talking about, I think, $720 per site. I just pulled up our bill for January for the internet, just to see how much we were paying for 30 meg connection. 30 meg connection, we're paying for, I believe, $1,800. 30 meg connection compared to 1 gig connection, that's about 33 times as fast. And you get it for $720 a month. So it's a no-brainer not to switch over. Another advantage is that the internet connection between here to Fern, our current rate, I was looking in here, is about $7,300 or $7,400 a month. Now the contract, it'll be at table 23 if you are interested in looking at it. It'll be, the cost per month will be down to $3,300 a month, I believe, for 1 gig connection. Currently, we're rated at about 550 megs, which is half as much. So basically, we get twice as much speed for half the cost.
Perfect.
The biggest savings, all in here, we're looking at it. We're looking at about roughly about $14,000 of internet service and for internet service and the WAN connections for all the schools. That would be a tremendous savings per month compared to we were paying at around, I believe, $40,000 a month. That's probably E-rate numbers, obviously, by the way. So once we are E-rated, I'm looking at the numbers, hopefully we'll be about a 90% district, and if that is the case, then we will be reimbursed 90% of that. So if it's $14,000 a month, then we'll only be paying about $1,400 a month. So, but I think the biggest thing in this is that we're all in the AT&T umbrella. We don't have 2 different ISPs working together. And this would only also open up different things that we want to do in our schools. Obviously, one of the things that I mentioned about is getting our infrastructure ready. We're going after for some money on E-rate for that one, and for category 2, and I'll probably come back with in the next board meeting to ask for your approval on contracts we have for different vendors that we've approved to purchase their services and goods. But it's just, I believe this is the way to go in order to lock in a price that is very affordable compared to what we have. Just to give you a rough number, this is E-rate season, so I have these numbers in my mind. In the last couple of years, we've applied for about $450,000 for E-rate services for both phone, internet, access. And this one, if we go with this plan, it's about $140,000. So we have a tremendous savings of about close to about $300,000 a year.
We love those gigs.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You get gigs, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Ms. Brookins? Chair. Chair has no questions at this time, so the chair will be entertaining a motion.
We have
We have a motion and we have a second, and now we're discussing
Are you getting ready to adjourn?
to adjourn.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I just want.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do have a few more things I want to cover tonight. I've also put at your desk a sheet that looks like this, which is, I thought it might be interesting to you to know how much money, just for FTE purposes, we send to other schools. And I had no idea we send a couple of thousand each semester to the Rock School. Of course, West Marines and Nature Coast wasn't a surprise, but you know, 55,000 to Vision Academy, 12,000 to Christian Life, 25,000 to Family Life, 30,000 to First Place Academy, 40,000 to Central Florida College. That's for dual enrollment. These are per semester, and that's where a lot of our money goes. And I thought that might be interesting to you. And that's just FTE money. That doesn't count our Title I monies and our ESE money, IDEA money, those type of things, which we send a lot of money to private schools and charter schools.
So why do we like Abbott County, not the Rock School? And why
Those are McKay scholarship students with disability that had rather go to a private school than come to a
they can
public.
choose where they want to go? Okay.
Yeah, we actually have sent money to Fort Lauderdale even to a school down
I thought that one would have been graduated.
there. Well, it may have. I don't know.
Stacy's gonna take care of This is survey 3. Okay, so this is half.
This one semester. It's not for
This
the
is survey
year.
3.
I added the numbers and it's a 1.1 million. So if you double that, it's $2.25 million. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money going out the door. I'm a little disappointed that our teacher that was in the audience left, because I wanted to mention that the school that he's at is awarded A+ money for being one of the better schools in the state, and he will get to enjoy a bonus because Chiefland High School, Middle School will receive $72,000 in bonus money. And so while he's disparaging of the Levy County school system, he gets to participate in bonus money, which is the way it goes. I also want to mention that the Levy County School District earned 215 industry certification, which total $80,850 back to the district in bonus money for CAPE bonus. And We had our kids earn 357 hours of college credit through this industry certification, and that would save our students a total of $35,700 that they will not be putting out because they have earned this college credit while in our wonderful schools. We have 921 students enrolled in CTE courses. They earn 23.3 industry certification per 100 students. And that is above the state average of 17.8%, 5 plus points above state average. We had $56.92 in CAPE bonus funding earned per every grade in 912 for the FTE, ranking our district 13th out of the 67 counties. I'm very proud of Levy County and the things that we do. For the 2012-2013 school year, our district performed above the state 79% passing rate for tests that were taken that earned students one or more national industry certification under CAPE, the CAPE Act. That is fantastic. Much to be proud of, our kids and our teachers and Carol Jones and all of them that worked so hard to put that together. The next thing I'd like to bring to your attention, and this was a request at last board meeting about things that you could address with our legislature this week as you go to Tallahassee. First of all, you have a sheet like this that doesn't have blue on the bottom. It's big rockets, but the blue's not there, but this is the same sheet. But I give you this to let you know kind of where we're at. Now, this was filed in the middle of February 26th, actually. And at that time, before the legislation even took up, you know, the session on March 1st, there was already 1,410 bills that had been filed, 625 in the House, 785 in the Senate. And of those bills filed, 542 of them have some kind of effect on education. That's a lot of bills before the session even started. That number will grow tremendously. But I tell you all that, and then down where you see the bullets, you can see how many times it has to go through the committees of the House and the Senate, be read 3 times both chambers, taking votes in both chambers, and then survive the joint conference committee if the language differs. And then, of course, the final step is having the governor sign off on it. So what I thought was important was for you to realize that in 2003, there was 2,553 bills that were filed, and they passed at a rate of 16%. In 2014, last year, there was 1,880 bills filed, and they passed at a rate of 14%. And overall, the average between 2003 and 2014 was 14% of the bills were passed. I thought that was kind of interesting so that you know how many are out there, but yet how many actually do not ever clear the floor, and that's a good thing. Well, all of us have. I'll let y'all read this. These are some of the things that I think is very important for y'all to talk to the legislatures about. The funding for special facilities, of course, and transportation. We spend $2 million a year more than what we are allocated for transportation. All counties are not the same, irregardless of what some people may say. We have a very large geographical county, one of the largest in the state, and yet we're sparsely populated. So therefore, our bus routes are very long. And we lose about $2 million a year in transportation costs. That means $2 million a year is going into transportation above what the state allocates for us that could be going into a classroom or teacher salaries and so forth. course, the half mil that we lost for capital outlay is big. We need more money for school safety. We need more cameras. We need more security guards and you know, the SROs in our schools. We need more funding to make sure that our kids are safe. And so that's another. Dual enrollment, that one gets all over me. I think it's awful that the state has said that the community college system will be partially financed on the back of the K-12 system. Why should the K-12 system be responsible for funding the community college system? It makes no sense. But that was where you saw we spent $40,000 last year in this. And it's going to get worse because our dual enrollment numbers are going up tremendously as our AP numbers are. The sixth thing I put down was what y'all had been talking about earlier with all of the testing, the SSA testing, and holding. The state tells you that the district is not held accountable this year. Well, what that means is there won't be any low 100 schools or low 300 schools where you have to increase your student days. That's all that means. But kids are held accountable. Teachers are held accountable. Everybody's held accountable. Administrators are held accountable. And it's just not right. So I won't read that to you on number 6, but I just think it's so important that we try to emphasize to our legislators about that. And one other note that I could throw in there is that when they're doing school grades and even the squiggly line charts that has been floating around the newspapers and everywhere, they don't take into account all of the accountability aspect of our high schools. That's not figured in the grades. And so even though we work very hard at increasing our graduation rate, our AP successes, our dual enrollment, and all these things are things that we put, you know, great value on. They don't count for our district rate, and we do exceptionally well. And so that's, if you want to mention that to somebody, that would be wonderful. I do every chance I get. A few accolades, and then I'll be through. The Bronson Middle School FFA floriculture team placed 5th in the state this past Saturday in Apopka, and they will be recognized on the stage at the state convention in June, and I think that's a wonderful thing. I know that our other schools have done extremely well, but I asked them today to verify what it was, so I won't give out any misinformation, and I didn't get a lot of feedback from different programs, but they're working hard, and I know they are. They got a lot to do. And so, anyway, I wish I had more accolades for more of the schools there. I will mention this about Joyce Bullock. They have a math program that's to practice and memorize math facts and fluencies for the first and second graders. And most of the first graders work on a 6-second response. In other words, if they can do a flashcard up there of 10 plus 33, they got 6 seconds to respond. Second graders only get 3 seconds to respond. So, and then once they get that down, they start them on multiplication tables. And again, the second graders only get 3 seconds to respond. We have 3 students, second graders, that can respond to all the multiplication questions in 3 seconds or less, and their names are Jennifer Cook, Amelia Bergman, and Allison Platt. And I think that's a wonderful thing, and these kids are working hard, their teachers are working hard. I do want to show this to you. This is the National FFA Convention magazine, in which these are Williston alumni on the front. You may know one of them, 2, 3, 4. But it's a wonderful article in here about the alumni and the tradition that they have in FFA and the accolades that they have garnished over the years. And so, I'm sorry, Mr. Philpott's not here. I would love to share that with him, but
I'm sure he'll hear about it.
I'm sure that he knows about it too, but,
But he receives that, I give him that too, so.
Well, he probably got his frame.
Yeah.
but that just goes to emphasize some of the more wonderful things we do, our teachers do, our students do, to prepare themselves to be college and career ready. That's not shown in this multitude of tests that you saw. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Board member comments, we'll start on this end. Ms. Brookie?
Just excited about going with the board members to Tallahassee tomorrow. I think that we will voice our opinions, our concerns. I think that every time there is an issue in the public and a parent or something that we are very concerned about it, that we do address it, that we do ask the appropriate questions, we do go to the superintendent, we do go to the team. You know, so I feel like we are involved, and I think that sometimes we need to educate the public also and let them know that our role is budget and policy and to be an advocate for our students and for our teachers, and that every single time we do and we address those issues. And I also feel extremely comfortable going to the superintendent or going to any administrator with an issue, and I'm probably sure Mr. Hastings, you know, I interrupt him a lot, and I'll pick up the cell phone and I'll call him, and he talks to me every single time, and we address or go over an issue or say something. We may not always agree, and that's okay too, but every issue is addressed and every concern, and I don't have a problem calling him anytime or addressing any kind of issue or, you know, anyone. So I just think that that's really important. I don't intend to change or stop doing anything that we're not doing, or we'll continue to do our job, and I look forward to working with everybody in Tallahassee when we go up there. Also, I really loved Dr. Hall's article, and I don't know what paper it was or what
It was in the ISRD, Institute for Small and Rural Districts. They put out a bi-monthly newsletter. It represents 37 plus small and rural districts in the state.
Oh, well, it was just outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for putting that in there. I just thought it was great. Once again, I really love those students.
I know you do. And we really appreciate your support. It's a population of students that we love dearly.
Right.
And college career is in their plan as well. It may look different, but we hold them to the highest rigor that we can provide, because they do excel with support, and we want to thank you for your support.
Oh, my pleasure. Looking forward to it, continuing doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coward?
I don't have a whole lot tonight, so, you know, I happened to be on Cedar Keys campus this morning and witnessed our middle school science teacher. They're doing a project on ospreys right now, so just one of the unique things that being in Cedar Key and being in Levy County, that we have the ability to step outside the classroom, and it's not all about testing, and just to see those kids actively involved and learning, and then also just the different things that they've got going on. I didn't say it last, but the FFA went over 4 tons with food they've donated to the food pantry down there, and they are very anxiously, they have set a goal for 5 tons by the end of June, and just what a blessing. They got awarded another grant, I forget who it's from, so, but anyways, they got some more money that's come back in there, so, and just thank all the hard work that goes on from all of our staff. So, and Ms. Boganum, thank you very much for the effort that you put in here. So it obviously is a bother of what we've got going on with our kids and the amount of testing that we're doing, and thank you for this also, the legislative priority, so Superintendent.
Well, I'm just glad to hear that at Levy County it's not all about testing.
You know, I happened to see a Facebook post from somebody talking about their child who was not even testing but was just worked up. And last week I was at Cedar Key and served breakfast to both the middle school one day and then fourth and fifth graders one day. And those kids were fist bumping. I mean, it was just like no other day to them. I mean, obviously it was a different day, but there was no anxiousness. There was no, it was like just a really regular day. And they were just going, it was just about both the staff and the kids, do your best. And I think that's what it's all about. And we've gotten away from what this was originally supposed to be. This was supposed to be diagnostic and to figure out where we were and not the end all be all.
Yeah.
That's the thing that struggles. So, and my good friend Charlie Stone did just send me a text. So, and we will see him. So, and he has been very, very good to Levy County. He and Senator Dean, and I'm thankful that we have representation of one person, have one set of ears to go to instead of being broken up. So, one person represents Levy County. So, very, very thankful for what the legislature.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron Nesbitt.
The only thing I had to, we got an email that there was going to be an accountability debate with the House Education Bill on Monday. Did we hear how that went? Has there been any discussion? Have we heard what happened on that yet?
Well, I mean, all these things go on all the time, and there certainly is no resolution yet, but there was a lot of discussion about it.
Senator Lake has, on the Senate side, has an educational accountability bill.
Senator Lake put out that first bill that, and he's seen the need to increase his demands on that. So I look for him to put out pleading for a reduction of more of the tests instead of just. They're talking pretty strongly about reducing, making PERT mandatory, and of course the 11th grade deal. But we need a lot more relief, and Senator Lake is working on
The other thing, we had auctioned off some buses on our new GovTime. How'd that go?
Great.
Did we make any money? Did we lose money?
We did sell the buses for an average which was greater than what we had sold in the code auction previously, so I feel very good about it.
Excellent.
I think the average was $3,200 or something like that.
Are we selling enough to buy new?
But we didn't have all that auctioneer costs and all that.
That's right, yeah.
Very good. Okay. Excellent.
It went well. I see y'all in Tallahassee.
Councilman?
Nothing.
The chair was just listening to the other thing. This is just a gut feeling based on some of the things that I'm reading from the commissioner's recommendations, et cetera, that we look like we may be at least wanting to move away from everything being state, and gravitating back down toward the district level where we actually have more responsibility for testing, which will make things like certain visual charts that we've seen for 3 times not quite as telltale as some of the other things that we glean from the actual schools themselves. That's just right now a gut feeling, but I'm looking at this and listening to the superintendent, say with other superintendents, et cetera, there's more of a push, to give it back to the local control for dealing with their students, et cetera, et cetera. And I asked Mr. Superintendent, he probably is more familiar with the dates and all of everything with Swanee River Fair, so.
Yeah,
Superintendent?
Yeah, I just want to make mention that Swanee River Fair is going on. We had some events start last Saturday, but the hog weigh-in would be this coming Saturday, livestock competition, hog show Monday, and then the sale next Wednesday. It's just a lot of things going on, and not to discount rabbits and chickens, lambs and goats, or whatever, horses.
How many kids?
Dog show.
Yeah, students.
Sir?
How many students, how many kids participate over there? They're students in Lee County. Just wondering. I've always wondered just how many do we have. We got a bunch of them.
I don't know.
It's a huge impact. And that's why I'm saying that ain't tested. There's a lot of learning that goes on.
Yes,
Every aspect.
Things like, of course, that's all I studied when I was in college. And, and to see a class of animals at 8 o'clock in the morning give a reason why you played them like it did at 10 o'clock that night, That takes a lot of stamina and hard work. And that's what our kids learn. And it's speech making and geared into it. And, you know, but anyway, there is a lot of learning outside the classroom.
So along with that, you know, I did forget to ask,
Now what?
do y'all want to go in together and invite in what we always do?
Yes.
I can't speak for anyone else, but
I mean, words.
Okay, great.
Real hot knows some shit.
Okay, is there any other business coming before the Lee County School Board at this time?
Yes, there is. Do I need to go up there?
No, ma'am, we've passed the welcome visitors part, so if you want to make a comment or something. go
Well,
ahead.
this comment came after the visitors part. I apologize to you, Mr. Hastings. I have on only 2 occasions in my years here written on my editorial page that public officials are invited to write a column anytime. You don't have to wait until Mr. Lawrence comes up here. And in fact, we will give you a longer length than our letters policy, which limits you to 500. And it's not just limited, Mr. Hastings. It's to all of you on the board. Any elected or appointed public official can write an item for our editorial page. The only thing we will do to it is we will cut out typos and grammatical errors. If some of you who remember County Commissioner Marcia Drew, that's probably the last time I made this offer. And I would welcome getting columns on subjects. They don't have to be advocating anything. In fact, we've tried to recruit Cameron Asbell with his Person of the Week item, but not necessarily for it. And when something appears that you feel is unfair, you get equal time. You do. Mr. Lawrence approached us, said he had a column, and we said, sure. We open it up. I want my opinion pages in the Beacon and the Citizen, and I know Carolyn Reisner wants it too, to be a place that spurs thought and discussion. You know, it's just, that's what we want. And I don't want you to ever feel that my pages are closed to you. The children of this county are very important.
Well, I just recall a page, it wasn't an editorial, it was in an article.
In a news article?
In a news article.
Yeah.
And it had just column after column of what Mr. Lawrence had to say. Just, and I read a letter to the board.
Mm-hmm.
That letter was not inclusive at all, but just a little blurb about it.
Did you provide it to the reporter?
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, okay.
Also, there was,
But I don't want you all to feel that you
Yeah.
can't have a voice.
in your letters to the editor, it states 500 words or less. There was like
That is not a letter to
2,000
the editor when you write a column for us.
2,000 words, I counted them,
Mhm.
plus the 3-column graft. That's a little overkill in my book, but I will respond.
If you
Well,
want to
I-
write 2,000 words, go ahead, but I'm going to warn you. After 300 words, people hear very much. I know that from my
I
articles.
know.
But, you know, we have allowed 1,000 and 2,000. Marcia Drew holds the record, 2,200, and I got that back with her. So, you know, yes, you know, a regular column from you or any of your administrative staff that talks about the schools, that's welcome. I just don't want you all to be left with the feeling that we don't want to hear from you.
Thank you.
In fact, I'm extremely happy. I want to thank you all for moving your meetings off of county commission days.
Thank you very much. Is there any other business coming forward?
I keep Person of the Week anytime you want.
If not,
Thank you.